Alrighty guys, we're now up to lesson 3 of rates, and today we're talking about making comparisons. So some little ways in which we can use rates to compare different things or calculate different things. So in this context, we're going to look at wages, best buys, and some costs. So starting off with our first example here, best buys. We've got Vegemite coming in. It comes in a 280 gram jar and a 380 gram jar, which costs $5 and $6.50 respectively. Now, just by looking at that, I can't really tell which is the most affordable option, which is the cheaper option of the two. 280 and 380 aren't really numbers I can readily divide by. So it's easier if we convert that into a different unit. Now, there's a little typo here on your sheet, so you might want to change that. That's not 110 grams, that should be 100 grams. Okay, so let's compare the price per 100 grams. So in other words, let's look at the 280 gram jar. We're just going to take that, costs $5. So we just think about this. This is if we think about it as a, that means there's sort of 2.8 lots of 100 grams. So we can therefore say that if we take the price of $5 and divide by 2.8, that'll get me the price per 100 grams. All right, so we put that into our calculator. 5 divided by 2.8. I did set it up as a fraction, so why don't I do that way? That'll make more sense. Cool, and we get $1.70. Let's say $1.79 because no one really cares about decimals of a cent. So $1.79. So that's how much it costs per 100 gram. And you guys might be aware from going to the supermarket, because of laws passed, they now have to have, or they have had pretty much probably most of your life, prices per 100 grams or per 100 mils or things like that. There's always on that card in the shopping centre, there's an ability to make a comparison. So next we've got the 380 gram jar. In the 380 gram jar, there's 3.8 lots of 100 grams. So in that case, we should take the price for that, so $6.50, and we can divide it by however many lots of 100 grams there are in that jar. And so we'll put that through our calculator again. 6.5 divided by 3.8 gives us $1.71. So therefore, the 380 gram jar is cheaper. Now, in most cases, it probably intuitively makes sense to us because in most cases, buying in bulk tends to be less expensive. But often you might turn up at a store and the smaller size container is on special. I know today I went to a chemist to pick up some headache tablets, and the 24 pack was about $1 cheaper. It was about $1 cheaper to buy 2 24 packs than it was to buy one 48 pack. So yeah, it is, although ordinarily we get used to this idea that bigger packets are better value, it's not always the case, and sometimes stores will play on that too. Okay, so then we've got the next question is the 250 grams jar is discounted by 5%. Does it become the better buy? Now the thing to understand here is I've already worked out how much it costs per 100 grams. I can take I can find what 5% of that is, or 95% of that. We'll talk about that in a second. I don't have to go back and find the price all over again. Okay, taking 5% at the end is just the same as taking 5% at the start and doing it all over again. So in this particular case, to find out what it would be if it was discounted by 5%, I can put the discounted price per 100 grams is going to be that $1.79 times by 95%. Now, You can find 5% and then take it off, but a better way is to think about these in terms of if it's discounted by 5%, then there's 95% left. Okay, so we'll pick up our calculator. Wrote a 7. 1.79 times by 95% or 0.95, either way works, and we get $1.70. And so the answer is, therefore, the 280 gram jar is now the better buy. Okay, so moving on now into rates used to calculate costs. So Isaac's mobile phone gives him 3 gig of data included in the $25 monthly plan cost, after which he pays 32 cents per gigabyte or part thereof. And that's kind of really important. If Isaac wants to download 42.24 gigabytes of fluffy kitten videos, something's wrong with this kid, how much will he pay on top of his monthly plan cost? So let's just think about, well, how much is this going to cost? So what we can say is he because it's all part thereof, we're working with 43 gigabytes is how much he's going to download. All right, because anything he does over 42, even if it's only slightly over 42 gigabytes, he's going to pay for the whole next gigabyte because it says 32 cents per gigabyte or part thereof. However, he does get 3 gigabytes included in his plan. So that leaves 40 gigabytes to pay for. So we can look at the cost and say, well, that's 40 gigabytes times by 32 cents per gigabyte. And I've just realized because the question had it small, I had it small. I think it's supposed to be a big G. It's definitely supposed to be a big G. I think it's supposed to be a big B as well. Anyway, but it's really important that the G is big. Okay, so if we put that through, 40 times by 0.32 gives me $12.80. So that is how much extra he's paying. In total for the month, though, he's going to have to pay for the $25 for the plan, plus this extra $12.80 he spent watching these videos. So we'll add those together and we can get $37.80. Okay, and the final question to do here is wages, which of course we did in the earning and managing money module. I suppose this is just a way of revising on that. Wage rates are rates, dollars per hour. So we're kind of used to that idea. So Jack worked in a shopping centre, as a shopping centre Easter bunny over the Easter break. The normal rate for such work is $19.50 an hour. So he worked 8 hours on Easter Thursday, and that was at normal rates. 5 hours on Good Friday on public holiday rates of double time and a half, and 8 hours on Saturday at time and a half, and 5 hours on Sunday at double time. So let's just sort of break this up. Let's just go each day. So Thursday, he gets 8 hours, and he gets paid $19.50 an hour. So we'll work that out and we'll find out what he earned on Thursday to start with. So 8 times by 19.5 gives me $156. On Friday, he earned penalty rates. So he worked for 5 hours and his hourly rate is $19.50, but he gets paid on that day double time and a half, so 2.5 times his normal rate. So we can then put that into the calculator and we'll say 5 times $19.50 times by 2.5. So we've got $243.75. Okay, then he worked again on Saturday. On Saturday, he worked for 8 hours at time and a half. So 8 times by his hourly rate of pay times by the penalty rate, so time and a half, 1.5 times. So we'll work that out. So 8 times by 19.5 times by 1.5. That gets me $234. Okay. Just to make things nice, I might put some decimal points there so we can add it so it looks nice when we add up. And then finally on Sunday, he worked for 5 hours, but on Sunday he got double time. So $19.50, still his hourly rate, but he gets double time, so he gets twice as much as that per hour. So we just take our 5 times by 19.5 times by 2. Gets me $195. Okay, and if we add all of those up, we will work out what his total wage was for the week, for the weekend. So we've got $156 plus $243.75 plus $234 plus $195, giving me a grand total of $828.75. Okay, and that's how we do that one. As I said, some of these units in HSC will kind of feel like we've kind of done this before, and they do. The syllabus is arranged in such a way that some of those things that we looked at in prelim get sort of peppered back in, but in a different context. And so that's why we're talking about wages here, but we're not in a finance unit, we're in a rates unit. Okay, so there's those questions there to have a look at. They mustn't be too hard because I've got a few of them there selected for you, although obviously I've deselected a few. If we just have a look here in the textbook, you'll have to scroll down for the questions. So we've got some best buys there and some rates for some calls. All of these take your time, but it shouldn't take too long. Just make sure you understand what the question's asking and you understand what rates you've got to use and where. And that will do us for this lesson.